Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India, India's voice to the world. This is News Hour. It's India's 75th Republic Day. Namaskar, I'm Mark Lynn. Coming up in the next hour. The Republic of India begins its 75th year. Grand Parade on Kartavya Path marks the 75th anniversary of India adopting its constitution. President Murmu and Prime Minister Modi lead the nation in celebrations with French President Macron as the chief guest. India and France consolidate strategic partnership. Prime Minister Modi and French President Macron discuss defense industrial roadmap, defense space partnership, and health sector cooperation, among other issues. NATO Secretary General Stoltenberg expects Hungary's parliament to ratify Sweden's accession as soon as it reconvenes at the end of February. Medvedev and Sinner set up Australian Open final clash. Djokovic loses to Sinner in the semi-final. Medvedev accounts for Zverev. And Liverpool manager Jurgen Kloop has announced a shock decision to resign as manager at the end of the season. Klopp led Liverpool to Champions League and Premier League titles. As strategic partners, India and France share a high degree of convergence on a range of regional and global issues. It's been 25 years since the countries raised their ties to that of strategic partners. Prime Minister Modi was the guest of honor at the Bastille Day parade in July of 2023 in Paris. President Macron was the chief guest at India's 75th Republic Day. President Macron had visited India also for the G20 summit on the 9th and 10th of September 2023. Prime Minister Modi and President Macron held productive discussions on bilateral ties and exchanged perspectives on a wide range of bilateral and global issues. India's Ministry of External Affairs briefed the media in New Delhi on President Macron's visit. DD India's Meghna Deb was there. She has this report.
Foreign Secretary Vinay Kwatra briefed media on President Emmanuel Macron's ongoing visit to India. The French president is accompanied by a 40-member strong delegation, which includes 3 ministers of foreign affairs, defense and culture. This is the 6th time a French leader has come for India's Republic Day, which is a maximum for any country. Highlighting the talks between PM Modi and President Macron, Foreign Secretary Vinay Kwatra said that besides the bilateral relationship, the talks also focused what's happening in different parts of the world. Ongoing conflict in Gaza and situation in the Red Sea.
With regard to developments in the Red Sea, naturally the disruptions, the potential disruption and the actual things happening in the maritime domain there, which is causing disruption to the commercial shipping, indeed is a matter of serious concern, and both leaders focused on it.
Listing the outcomes from the talks, Foreign Secretary highlighted the India-France Defence Industrial Roadmap, agreement on defence space partnership, health sector and more.
These are the documents which have been agreed upon. Roadmap on the India-France Defence Industrial Roadmap, actually. 2, an agreement on defence space partnership. 3, an MOU between New Space India Limited, NSIL, and Ariane Space with regard to satellite launches. Industrial partnership between Tata and Airbus helicopters for production of H-125 helicopters with a significant indigenous and localization component. Agreement between Department of Science and Technology, 2 agreements actually, and the counterpart French institutions with regard to joint research in clean energy, mainly decarbonized hydrogen applied mathematics, digital technologies, and precision agriculture. Also, an agreement between two ministries of health on healthcare cooperation, education, training and research. This would include the space of digital health and use of artificial intelligence in the healthcare sector.
As the two countries have agreed to adopt defense production roadmap, Ambassador of India to France Javed Ashraf spoke on the Safran India Shakti jet engines deal with featured in the conversation between President Macron and Prime Minister Modi. The leaders also agreed that the year 2026 will be celebrated as India-France Year of Innovation. The French president began his India visit on Thursday from Jaipur city in the Indian state of Rajasthan, where the leaders received an enthusiastic welcome. This is French President Macron's third visit to India after 2018 and then for the G20 summit in 2023. But the leaders have met around 6 times in the past year alone, taking India-France strategic partnership to greater heights. Meghna Dev's report for DD India.
And Meghna Dev is joining us now with an update. Meghna, give us the key takeaways from this visit of President Macron.
Yes, Mark, first of all, as I said in my report, that the major takeaways, highlights from the visit in terms of the outcomes, obviously is the roadmap on the India-France defense industrial roadmap. Besides that, obviously space cooperation. India has had a history of space cooperation with France, and just taking that forward, taking the momentum forward, NSIL and Arianespace have an agreement on satellite launches. Now, defense space cooperation is also one sector in which the outcome is there. Besides that, also we see research and research and development in the sector of clean energy as well as precision agriculture. Now, one very important outcome out of the visit is the industrial partnership between Tata and Airbus on the manufacturing FAL, which is the final assembly line of the H125 helicopters. Now, these helicopters are, one of the best-selling helicopters in the world in terms of the single-engine helicopters. Now, Airbus CEO has also said that this FAL in India for the manufacturing of H125 helicopters will enable to unlock the true potential of the helicopter industry in India. Besides that, also the H125 helicopters were the first to make a landing on the Mount Everest, proving that these can also work in high altitude and extreme temperatures. These helicopters can be used in when we're talking about rescue, evacuation, ambulance, air ambulance, and much more sectors. So this is going to be a very important aspect. This will be the second FAL which will be set up in India. The first has been set up in Vadodara for the manufacture of C295 military aircrafts. So this is going to be very important. Besides that, also we talk about the Safran India Shakti jet engines. So the talks have featured again in the talks between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Macron.
Meghna, both countries also have a 2047 roadmap. So what are the areas of convergence for this kind of vision?
So when we're talking about the roadmap 2047, first of all, this visit in itself is a testimony that how the relationship between India and France is on an uptick. First, we saw a 40-member delegation with the French president, where he had 3 ministers. He had the defense minister, foreign minister, and the culture minister as well. Besides that, this is the third visit of the French president to India. After 2018 and after 2023 for the G20 summit, he has come again. And last year itself, Prime Minister Narendra Modi was there in July 2023 for the Bastille Day parade celebration, where our tri-service contingent marched on the Champs-Élysées Avenue in Paris. So definitely there's an uptick in the relationship. When we talk about areas of convergence, defense is one of the important sectors of priority between both the countries. Space is another important sector, and obviously clean energy, because if we talk about the ISA, we talk about the International Energy Agency, and we talk about clean energy space, blue economy. Obviously, obviously, there is a lot more, to explore in the defense sector, particularly because it's not just about technology transfer now. It's about how we can co-design, how we can co-produce, and how we can co-manufacture. So this is going to be, when we talk about 2047 roadmap, it will be 100 years of India celebrating its independence, 100 years of diplomatic relationship between India and France, and 50 years of strategic partnership that India and France celebrate.
We leave it there. Thank you very much, Meghna Dev, for putting that into perspective for us. Our next story, the French President Emmanuel Macron is on a two-day visit to India. He announced a series of measures to ensure that more Indian students study in France. He said that France is targeting 30,000 students by 2030. He also said that international classes will be set up for students who do not speak French. Attempts will also be made to teach students French in public schools and facilitate visas for Indian students. Kartavya Path resonated with nationalism as India celebrated its 75th Republic Day. President Draupadi Murmu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi led the nation in commemorating the historic day. Women power was on display in leadership roles at the Grand Parade, signifying women-centric and overall development. The theme for this year's parade was Viksit Bharat, or Developed India, and Bharat Loktantra Ki Matrika, that is the mother of democracy. Here's our report.
Steeped in nationalistic fervour, India, that is Bharat, celebrated its 75th Republic Day.
In fact, when the Prime Minister...
It was on this day in 1950 that India's constitution replaced the Government of India Act of 1935, giving the Republic of India its sovereign democratic form.
Honouring and revering those...
Prime Minister Narendra Modi began the day by leading the nation in paying homage to the numerous soldiers who've made the supreme sacrifice in defence of the motherland. President Draupadi Murmu and chief guest French President Emmanuel Macron arrived in a horse-drawn chariot led by the only serving active horse cavalry regiment in the world, the 61 Cavalry. President Macron joined his Indian host in greeting Namaste
of France, Emmanuel Macron.
On display was everything that defines India: military might, cultural diversity and traditional values. Each marching contingent proudly saluting the President of India, their supreme commander, and whose office embodies India's nationhood. The chief guest, President Emmanuel Macron, too acknowledged the French band and marching contingents that marched with their Indian counterparts.
As well.
An all-women marching contingent of the three armed forces, led by Captain Sandhya, proudly saluted President of India, Draupadi Murmu. Women power was on display throughout the parade. Women officers took the lead in displaying the Swati weapon locating radar and the Pinaka rocket system.
The Pinaka multi-barrel rocket.
CRPF's women band and the Armed Forces Medical Services provided a colourful depiction of India's cultural richness and military strength. The T-90 Bhishma guns turned in salute, a proud symbolic act of allegiance. Indian Air Force aircraft and helicopters also flew past the misty sky.
From 125 helicopters.
There were 25 tableaus displaying India's vibrant cultural diversity. 16 states and UTs were represented along with 9 ministries and departments. The Indian troops also had participated in the 2023 Bastille Day celebrations. India's 75th Republic Day parade displayed progress, diversity and achievements. Among the most prominent achievements, its all-round inclusive growth. India has made great strides towards gender equity, clearly visible and recognized at the Kartavya Path. Bureau Report, DD India.
And still to come here on DD India News Hour. Republic Day is celebrated by Indian missions across the globe. Hungary's parliament is likely to ratify Sweden's accession when it meets in late February. Venezuela and Guyana discuss their oil dispute in Brazil.
preparation, participate in Pariksha Pe Charcha with Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi on January 29, 2024. Brace yourself for a thought-provoking discussion to energize your exam journey. Pariksha Pe Charcha is propelled by the initiatives of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, aiming to unite students, parents, teachers and society in creating an environment that celebrates, encourages and enables each child's unique individuality to be fully expressed. Pariksha Pe Charcha 2024 on 29th January 11 AM onwards at Bharat Mandapam, New Delhi.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn. Now, India celebrated its 75th Republic Day on Friday with a grand display of its women power and military might at Kartavya Path in India's national capital, New Delhi. And in a first, an all-women tri-service contingent marched down Kartavya Path, enthralling spectators. India's Navy tableau also highlighted the themes of Nari Shakti and Atmanirbharta, showing strength, resilience and maritime prowess.
The tri-services led by Captain Sandhya of the military police.
A grand display of Nari Shakti took center stage during India's 75th Republic Day parade as women soldiers marched down the Kartavya Path.
144 officers of the military nursing service. Strength, discipline, the dedication of women officers and unwavering commitment.
In a first, an all-woman tri-service contingent marched down Kartavya Path on Republic Day on Friday. The all-woman contingent of the Armed Forces Medical Services was led by Major Shrishti Kullar, with Captain Amba Samant from the Army Dental Corps, Sergeant Lieutenant Kanchana from Indian Navy, and Flight Lieutenant Divya Priya from Indian Air Force.
Kanchana from the Indian Navy and Flight Lieutenant Divya Priya from the Indian Air Force.
The Indian Air Force marching contingent was led by Squadron Leader Rashmi Thakur. Delhi Police Band was led by Sub-Inspector Ruanguno Khenze. Women Tri-Services contingent was led by Captain Sandhya. Indian Navy tableau also highlighted the themes of Nari Shakti and Atmanirbharta. The Central Armed Police women personnel exhibited their prowess of Nari Shakti. 265 women bikers on motorcycles showcased bravery and valor.
Nari Shakti is the next.
Demonstrating Nari Shakti on Republic Day, the Defence, Research and Development Organization tableau was led by Sunita Jaina. The DRDO tableau was themed Self-Reliance in Defence Technology. The celebrations ended with a jaw-dropping flypast by 46 aircrafts of the Indian Air Force. Fuzail Ahmed's report for DD India.
Commander Hashir Habib, Vayu Sena Medal, with Squadron Leader Ragi Ramachandran as the co-pilot.
Well, on the occasion of India's 75th Republic Day, several countries extended their greetings to India. Celebrations were also held at Indian embassies in different countries. Let's look at how India celebrated Republic Day abroad as well.
India celebrated its 75th Republic Day on Friday. The celebrations also took place in many other countries, while leaders of many other countries extended greetings to India on Republic Day. Extending wishes to India, US Secretary of State Anthony Blinken lauded the vibrant people-to-people ties between the two nations. Blinken said that the Constitution of India continues to provide an enduring framework for the world's largest democracy and a foundation for its global leadership. The US Embassy in New Delhi also shared a video to extend greetings on its social media handle. Hailing India and UK's close bond, King Charles III of the United Kingdom conveyed his warmest congratulations to India on Republic Day. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese also extended wishes to the people of India and recalled the bond between the two nations and their citizens. While the diplomats at Israeli embassy in New Delhi donned traditional attire from various Indian regions as they extended heartfelt wishes in regional languages. Indian Consulate General in Saudi Arabia celebrated the 75th Republic Day with great patriotic fervor and enthusiasm, marking the day by featuring the spectacular cultural pageantry. The Republic Day resonated with enthusiasm and patriotic fervor across the United Arab Emirates as the Indian community came together for grand celebrations at diplomatic missions. With temperatures as low as -31 degrees Celsius, the Indian flag flew high at the Embassy of India at the East Asian country Mongolia. Delegates marked the 75th Republic Day of India in the country. In Bangladesh, India's Republic Day was celebrated with enthusiasm at the High Commission of India. Members of the Indian community took part in large numbers in the celebration. India's Republic Day was celebrated at the Embassy of India in Nepal. The ambassador conveyed his greetings on the occasion to the members of the Indian diaspora in Nepal and unveiled the Bufu 2024 magazine covering the welfare initiatives of the Government of India for ex-servicemen domiciled in Nepal. Despite the cold weather, members of the Indian diaspora in China participated in the 75th Republic Day celebrations organized at the Embassy of India in Beijing. High Commission of India in Maldives also celebrated the 75th Republic Day with great fervor and extended his warm greetings on the occasion. On the occasion of Republic Day, the High Commission of India in New Zealand transformed into a canvas of patriotism and unity. The Rajasthani cultural troops performance and folk dance at the High Commission in New Zealand fascinated the audience. Anil Thomas report for DD India.
Well, on Friday, to mark the solemn occasion of India's 75th Republic Day, more than 450 participants from across the country attended the Republic Day parade. And they were later felicitated by the Union Minister Anurag Singh Thakur for their significant contribution towards nation building. Dibyendu Mandal reports.
These 450 participants coming from across the length and breadth of the country witnessed a magnificent Republic Day parade in the national capital's Kartavya Path as special invitees of the Prime Minister of India. They are no ordinary participants, but each one of them have made remarkable contribution towards nation building and making India one of the greatest nation. Union Minister Anurag Singh Thakur felicitated the special invitees on Friday for their remarkable contribution.
आपका काम आज आपकी पहचान बनी। आपने किसी अवार्ड लेने के लिए काम नहीं किया था। आपने भारत को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए अपना योगदान दिया था और मुझे प्रसन्नता इस बात की है कि आपके कामकाज की पहचान किसी और नहीं नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने अपनी सरकार में की है। इसके लिए आप सबको बहुत बहुत बधाई।
मैं देख रहा हूं यहाँ पर मन की बात के लोग जम्मू से लेकर मणिपुर तक के, तमिलनाडु से लेकर गुजरात तक के लोग हैं। बहुत लोगों को प्रधानमंत्री जी के मन की बात में किसी न किसी विषय से जुड़ते हुए हमने सुना। मन की बात माने जो चीज़ें मीडिया की नज़र से भी छूट जाती हैं, जो चीज़ें लोगों की नज़र से भी छूट जाती हैं, पर भारत के जीवन में छोटे से छोटे आदमी का भारत को बनाने में जो योगदान है, उसको अगर किसी ने रिकॉग्नाइज किया है तो हमारे देश के हमारे प्रिय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र भाई मोदी जी ने किया है।
The special invitees, which also included a number of Padma awardees and many of whom have come from the far-flung hinterlands of India, have made significant changes in the lives of many.
In 2017 April, Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Bhai Modi ji, took my work Save the Sparrows in his Man Ki Baat 33rd episode, and it was an overwhelming experience and amazing to learn and understand all throughout that, you know, because of Man Ki Baat, the work has spreaded very fast on all over the world.
In the year 2018, I created Prasiddhi Forest Foundation. I was only 6 years old with the mission that I also want to plant 1 lakh trees. And it started, and when I planted 13,000 trees, I was so pleased to know that I have been recognized with the Pradhan Mantri Rashtra Bal Puraskar, Prime Minister National Child Awardee in 2021. So to promote it at this level, to connect with them through Mann Ki Baat, where the Honorable Prime Minister itself is talking to you and spreading the message, this is something really exceptional and motivational.
Many working for the environment, some to preserve traditional art forms and culture, and many to uplift the society. The recognition of their work by the Prime Minister will inspire generations to come.
I like to thank our Honorable Prime Minister. Because of my library initiative, I have been featured in his 106th edition of the Mann Ki Baat program. I was really proud and happy. It was such a grateful and thankful moment for me, and I felt really happy, which has motivated me and encouraged me to do further.
He mentioned about me in his 98th episode, Mann Ki Baat, February that time, and so I'm the first female mandolin player, and I play a rare instrument, so he was very happy on that, and I feel very much proud and thankful to him for having mentioned my name in the esteemed Mann Ki Baat program. So thank you so much, Modi ji.
Over 300 special invitees by the Prime Minister's office who participated at the Kartavya Path witnessed the Republic Day parade. These were the invitees that were mentioned by Prime Minister during his several episodes of Mann Ki Baat for their work that they have been doing in their own villages or in the small towns. These unsung heroes today express their happiness of the fact that their work have been able to be recognized not just in India but across the world by the Prime Minister's voice through his Mann Ki Baat. With camera person Sanjeev, this is Dibyendu Mondal from New Delhi for DD India.
The NATO chief, Jens Stoltenberg, said on Friday that he expected Hungary's parliament to ratify Sweden's accession as soon as possible, clearing the final hurdle for the Nordic country to join the Western military alliance. Hungary is the only NATO member that has not ratified Sweden's application to join the military alliance after the Turkish parliament ratified Stockholm's application and President Tayyip Erdogan signed off on the approval on Thursday. All of NATO's 31 members have to ratify an applicant country's accession before it can join the alliance.
Swedish membership in NATO will make NATO stronger and all of us safer. And therefore I welcome that Montenegro actually very rapidly ratified and accepted the Swedish accession into our alliance. I welcome the decision by the Grand National Assembly of Turkey to ratify, and also that President Erdogan shortly after the decision gave his signature to the decision of the parliament. So now all the decisions are in place in Turkey.
And Turkey is moving swiftly to conclude Sweden's NATO bid with F-16s in sight. The Turkish Prime Minister expects to send the final instrument of ratification for Sweden's NATO membership to the US as early as Friday, which clears the way for Ankara's purchase of US F-16 fighter jets. Turkey's Erdogan said his foreign minister was working in close coordination with his US counterpart on the matter. The foreign ministers of Venezuela, as well as Guyana, they met in Brazil to discuss their dispute over the oil-rich Essequibo region. An agreement these agreements, were made to refrain from using violence. They made these agreements or making threats in relation to territorial dispute between Venezuela and Guyana. And this came about after President Nicolas Maduro of Venezuela resurrected his claims to an oil-rich area on their shared border. During a press conference, Venezuela's Foreign Minister, Vian Gil, said that they agree on the need to continue through diplomatic channels. The Guyanese Foreign Minister Hugh Todd, said that his nation was committed to allowing the International Court of Justice to offer a solution on the dispute. Other stories making news around the world. The United Nations Human Rights Chief on Friday condemned the execution of the prisoner Kenneth Smith in the United States state of Alabama by nitrogen gas, saying that the method could amount to torture. Smith was convicted of murdering Elizabeth Sennett, a preacher's wife, after he and an accomplice each accepted $1,000 from her husband to kill her. Italian designer Giorgio Armani took a shimmery haute couture lineup to the Paris runway, showcasing slim trouser ensembles and full-skirted gowns in pastel hues. Models moved slowly down the slim runway, parading bustier gowns with piles of ruffles, tapered trousers, paired with silky collarless vests and shirt tops decorated with ornate embroidered flower patterns. Still to come here on DD India News Hour. We'll be discussing the India-French strategic partnership in the light of President Macron's visit. Israel says that it will continue to defend its citizens till all hostages are released, while adhering to international law.
The eagerly anticipated 7th edition of the interaction that every student in India awaits is here. Pariksha Pe Charcha with Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi. This time, PM Modi will also engage in discussions with parents and teachers, aiming to assist and empower them in supporting students to achieve all their dreams and goals. Pariksha Pe Charcha 2024 on 29th January, 11 a.m. onwards at Bharat Mandapam, New Delhi.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn. Here's a recap of our main stories. The Republic of India begins its 75th year. Grand Parade on Kartavya Path marks the 75th anniversary of India adopting its constitution. President Murmu and Prime Minister Modi lead the nation in celebrations with the French President Macron as chief guest. India and France consolidate strategic partnership. Prime Minister Modi and French President Macron discuss defense industrial roadmap, defense space partnership and health sector cooperation, among other issues. NATO Secretary General Stoltenberg expects Hungary's parliament to ratify Sweden's accession as soon as it reconvenes at the end of February. And going back to our story on India-French ties, we are joined by Ambassador Arun Kumar Singh, former Indian ambassador to France, to throw light on the close relationship. Ambassador Singh, thank you very much for being with us. You know, both countries are celebrating 25 years of strategic partnership. Also, they have a Horizon 2047 document. So what is actually driving this kind of a partnership?
Many factors come into play in this. If you look at the strategic areas of cooperation for India, defense, nuclear, space, France is among our strongest partners, and certainly the strongest partner in Europe. We have, been buying fighter aircraft from France for a long time. We had the Mirage aircraft earlier, and now we're buying Rafale. We've also built submarines, the Scorpion submarines, 6 of them in India in partnership with France. And there is discussion going on for getting the Rafale aircraft for the Navy and 3 additional submarines also for the Navy. So that's one dimension. Now there is talk of a defense technology partnership where France has indicated willingness to partner with India on jet engine technology and also engines for helicopters. So that would be a significant development. If you look at space cooperation, where India has very significant ambition, France again has been a well-established partner. We have launched more than 20 satellites from the French facility in Kourou in French Guiana. And India and France have also done joint satellites. For a long time, we've had cooperation in civil nuclear energy. So these are various dimensions. But what brings the two countries closer is that despite being a part of the Western alliance system, despite being part of NATO, France strives for strategic autonomy of its decision-making.
Okay.
Similarly, in India, we've always striven to take our own decisions based on our own interests. So that provides some convergence, that this is a partnership through which we can strengthen each other's desire and ability to maintain strategic autonomy for our decision-making. And also at the multilateral fora, France has been supportive of India. In 2019, for example, when we had taken action on Article 370 through the Indian Parliament,
yes,
China had tried to move the UN Security Council against India, and France had blocked that move at that stage.
Indeed. But, you know, just last month, Prime Minister Modi and President Macron had met on the sidelines of COP28 as well. And to what extent has climate action, you know, and climate financing, energy, clean energy been key components of the new relationship?
That certainly is an important element, and that started in 2015. Because at that year, France had hosted an important Conference of Parties meeting in December of that year. And Prime Minister Modi had gone for that. And I think that was the first time when, as Prime Minister, he had attended Conference of Parties meeting. And that year, unlike in the past, where very often we were just trying to defend onslaughts from others and try to explain our position, India took many initiatives. You know, for example, we set up the International Solar Alliance in partnership with France. So there was a sense that India was contributing to make the meeting in France successful, was coming forward with initiatives, and France also came forward to join India in the launch of the International Solar Alliance. And then France has recently also done a compact for finance. So certainly climate change is an area where also both countries are cooperating.
Indeed, the India-France defense industrial roadmap now, there's an agreement also on defense space partnership, there's health sector and also more. Now, the question that comes to mind is how is the wider collaboration being facilitated? How much more is being invested, perhaps, let's say, in the younger generation?
Well, that's an area where I think the two countries will probably need to do more. As you know, for example, in the US, we have almost 300,000 Indian students. Again, similar, very large number of students in Australia, in the UK. In France, the number is not quite the same. The challenge there is the language, because it's more difficult for Indian students to pick up French and then study there, and then the job opportunities that you're looking for. So now France has indicated that it wants to increase the number of students, Indian students there, to about 30,000. President Macron himself made that commitment. And they'll try and facilitate that. And they'll also see to what extent, in addition to French, certain classes could also be conducted in English, which would be easier for Indian students. And the other thing that would be important if Indian students are able to work for a certain number of years, 2 years or so, after receiving their degree, because it helps them build their experience, earn some money back, and that will also enthuse students to go there. So that's an area where I think the two countries will need to do more. And another area which doesn't get the same level of attention is the Indian origin diaspora presence in France.
Okay.
You know, there are almost 100,000 persons of Indian origin present in what is called mainland France or metropolitan France, that's the European part of France. But almost 40% of the population in Reunion Islands in the Indian Ocean and in Guadeloupe in the Caribbean are persons of Indian origin. So there is a diaspora link also that we can build upon.
Indeed. So how much potential is there then if we look at defense in co-production, manufacturing in the defense sector, also in the civil nuclear sector? There is already what the P-75 Scorpion, there are other potential new areas of collaboration, co-development of next-generation engines for fighter planes. There's the Jaitapur nuclear power project that's still being talked about.
No, I think there is a lot of potential. In defense, as we discussed, there is a history of partnership. And I think there is a certain amount of confidence in India in the French partnership in defense, because you have to be assured that you are getting the kind of technology that you need, and also that at critical moments, the supplies that you need would be forthcoming. And now, historically, France has shown that the commitments it has made, it has delivered on. And at critical moments when we may have been in conflict situation, for example, during the Kargil conflict, the supplies were forthcoming. And
Yes.
again, when we had done the nuclear test in 1998, France was the only P5 member that did not criticize India and also oppose sanctions against India. So that was a signal about how they see the relationship with India.
Right.
In civil nuclear power, in terms of technology, France has a lot of strengths because almost 50% of energy in France is generated by nuclear power.
Right.
So there has been some cooperation in the past, but there is talk of the Jaitapur project. But there have been challenges because the original French company that was involved, that went into bankruptcy. So there's another company that came forward. And then there are issues related to production in India, issues related to pricing that are being discussed. But I'm sure over time, all these would be resolved.
A final question, Ambassador Singh. We know also that the Indian civil aviation sector is growing rapidly, and there's a huge order in the pipeline from Airbus. So what are what's the future areas of business potential for the two countries to explore apart from aviation? Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Mark, as you rightly said, we are looking at the two Indian airlines are looking at placing orders for almost 750 aircraft from Airbus. Now, that's a huge order. And Airbus is already looking at doing co-production in India for the supply aircraft. And so that discussion has been going on and there has been some progress. But as the orders for more aircraft come in, France will probably be looking at also setting up, Airbus will be looking at setting up MRO facilities in India. So if we are able to do production in India and aspects related to manufacture of aircraft, I think that will certainly scale up the ecosystem for high technology production in India.
We'll leave it there. Thank you very much, Ambassador Arun Kumar Singh, former Indian ambassador to France. Thank you for enlightening us on India-French ties, strategic partnership, 25 years of it. Now moving on to our next story, Indian President Draupadi Murmu met the French President Emmanuel Macron at the Rashtrapati Bhavan in New Delhi. President Macron attended the at-home reception by President Draupadi Murmu at Rashtrapati Bhavan. India's Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the Chief Justice of India, D.Y. Chandrachud, and other dignitaries were present. The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, responding to the International Court's ruling, said that Israel would do whatever is necessary to defend itself while adhering to international law. The International Court of Justice on Friday ordered Israel to take measures to protect Palestinians and do more to help them, although it stopped short of ordering a ceasefire as requested by South Africa. The court also directed Israel to allow the entry of basic services and humanitarian assistance for Palestinians in Gaza. The Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan met the British Foreign Minister David Cameron in Istanbul on Friday. He told Cameron that a full and immediate ceasefire and a two-state solution to the Israel-Palestinian conflict is needed in Gaza for lasting peace. The ministers held a meeting for some 90 minutes, followed by interdelegation talks. The ministers discussed bilateral ties and Turkey's ratification of Sweden's NATO membership bid. Chinese officials have asked the Iranian officials to help rein in attacks on ships in the Red Sea by the Iran-backed Houthis. The Chinese officials warned that business relations with Beijing could be harmed if the attacks continue. The discussions about the attacks and trade between China and Iran took place at several recent meetings in Beijing and Tehran. The attacks have raised the cost of shipping and insurance by disrupting a key trade route between Asia and Europe used widely by ships from China. China has been Iran's biggest trading partner for the past decade. Let's take a look now at other stories making the news. India's Border Security Force on Friday morning recovered a drone while carrying out area patrolling ahead of the border fence in the farming field in, this is a farming field in Amritsar district, which is near the India-Pakistan border. So according to the BSF, the recovered drone is a quadcopter, and they said that it's made in China. One person was reported to be dead as a massive fire broke out at a restaurant in Mumbai's Kamatipura on Thursday night. The Brihanmumbai Municipal Corporation officials have launched an inquiry into any other injured or missing person in the incident. The upper reaches of India's Kashmir Valley, including ski resort of Gulmarg, experienced light snow, resulting in the closure of the Mughal Road and Srinagar-Ladakh Road on Friday. The Mughal Road connecting South Kashmir, Shopian, with twin districts of Poonch and Srinagar, Sonmarg, Gumri Road connecting Ladakh, they were closed due to the accumulation of fresh snowfall. India's first female Mahot, Parbati Barua, is set to receive the Padma Shri in the field of social service. The centre on Thursday released the list of winners of the Padma Awards 2024, honouring 6 personalities from the Northeast, which includes Parbati Barua of Assam State. She's an elephant Mahot. Now, still to come here on DD India News Hour. India builds a sizable lead in the first test against England at Hyderabad. And Djokovic is out. He loses to Sinner in the Australian Open semi-final. Also, Jürgen Klopp has resigned as Liverpool manager. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn. Let's get you news about the global weather now. Several regions across the world are facing severe weather phenomena. In Spain and Portugal, there's atypical spring heat. Temperatures are quite high for this time of the year in Madrid and Lisbon, causing people to patronize outdoor cafes. Southern Chile is contending with wildfires that have consumed nearly 90 hectares of forests. In Colombia, the president there has declared that the wildfires are a natural disaster. And a study has found that global warming has increased the likelihood of drought by 30 times. Saeed Absarul Hassan tells us more.
Several parts of the world is facing harsh weather conditions. Unseasonal heat has swept through Spain and Portugal, causing people in Madrid and Lisbon to sit in outdoor caves in 18 degrees Celsius. Scientists have linked the searing temperatures and dry and windy conditions to climate change. Temperatures are expected to reach 28 degrees Celsius in Mediterranean region of Murcia and between 26 and 24 in most of the Andalusia of Spain.
Yes, we are a little surprised that it is so pleasantly warm. We were expecting much colder temperatures, and it's nice for us now, but we don't think that's completely normal.
Southern Chile also battles wildfires. almost 90 hectares of forest has been destroyed in the country. Firefighters were pressed into service to prevent it spreading to residential areas. A red alert has also been sounded and nearly 25 homes were evacuated as preventive measure. Colombia, too, battling wildfire. President G. Petro has declared wildfire burning in the country as a natural disaster. Colombia has put out some 204 fires this month, around 8 per day, and 25 fires continue to burn. Closer to the capital, smoke billowed from a wooded mountainous area east of Bogota as neighbors watched helicopters ferry water to fight the blaze. Climate change has been blamed for driving a record drought that has hit all 9 countries in the Amazon basin, including Colombia, according to a study on Wednesday which found global warming made the drought 30 times more likely. Syed Absarul Hassan for DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. Let's get you the sports news now. Well, Novak Djokovic lost at the Australian Open for the first time since 2018 as the Italian 4th seed Jannik Sinner reached his first Grand Slam final. Serbia's Djokovic lost 6-1, 6-2, 6-7, 6-3. Pretty one-sided, one would think, as Sinner regrouped from not taking a match point in the tiebreak. And it ends Djokovic's bid for a record-extending 11th title and also a 25th major to put him clear of Margaret Court. The 22-year-old Sinner faces the Russian 3rd seed Daniil Medvedev in the final. Medvedev had beaten Zverev in the semi-final. The former US Open champion Medvedev beat Zverev in the second semi-final. In fact, Daniil Medvedev rallied from 2 sets to love down for the 4th time in his career to pip his long-term rival, Alexander Zverev. It was a tense 5-set thriller, and he's now booked his place in the Australian Open final. So what's happened is that Medvedev defeated Zverev 5-7, 3-6, 7-6, 7-6, 6-3. Wow. Coming back from the brink in a sense to reach his 3rd Australian Open final and meeting for the 19th time, but for the first time in a major, Medvedev was 2 points away from defeat in the 4th set tiebreak, but he stayed composed, eventually advancing to his 6th Slam title tour title match. This is after a 4-hour and 18-minute epic battle at the Rod Laver Arena. Medvedev is going to be playing Sinner and in the final. The Liverpool manager, Jurgen Klopp, on Friday announced a shock decision to resign as manager and depart from the club at the end of the 2023-24 campaign. Klopp, who led Liverpool into the final of the League Cup on Wednesday, had informed the club's hierarchy that he would end his 8.5 years at Anfield at the end of the current campaign. The German joined Liverpool in October 2015 and has won the Champions League, the Premier League, the Club World Cup, the FA Cup, the League Cup and the Super Cup, as well as the Community Shield during his time in charge. And news now from the first test match between India and England. And hosts India ended day 2 on a giant score of 421 for 7 in reply to England's first innings total of 246. The match is being played at Hyderabad in the Indian state of Telangana. And Ravindra Jadeja and Akshar Patel were batting on 81 and 35 respectively at the close of play. For England, Tom Hartley and Joe Root took 2 wickets apiece. KL Rahul scored 86 and Yashasvi Jaiswal hit 80. And also Ravindra Jadeja is batting on 81. Well, that's all we have in this edition of DD India News Hour, but let's know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on Facebook, X, which was formerly Twitter, and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. My name is Mark Lynn. From all of us here, thanks very much for watching DD India News Hour. Namaskar.